This is a stampede at 1 o'clock in the morning.
It totally was. Yeah.
Is this a stampede for people needing chai?
The fire event happened. It got so quiet. We just chilled out. We let the pots cool down. We didn't make more chai. And we're just sitting around on the straw bales. Oh, yeah, this is kind of the end of the festival. And then I heard this sound and I walked out and I looked across the oval and the fire event had finished and there was hundreds and hundreds of people all walking towards the chai tent. But it was mad for us because it was like, wow, put the pots back on, quick, that kind of stuff. And a couple of our friends jumped in and then more of our friends jumped in because it just got busier and busier and we stayed open all night. And I guess that's what supported us the next year to decide to trade 24/7.
This is Radio Woodfordia. I'm your host, Harley Breen. Today we go neck level hippie with Robin Clayfield. She literally put the power into the flower. You'll hear about a peace train, all sorts of wonderful things, but she's famous for the labyrinth and the chai tent, and the chai tent's coming back. It was really great stuff. Talked about even the design of the chai tent being based on the staples of permaculture. It was pretty cool. Hey, Robin, how are you?
Hi. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, good. Where have you come from today?
Come from Crystal Waters, where I live, about half an hour away, so it's not very far.
I hear a lot of the murmurs of Crystal Waters. What's it like living at Crystal Waters?
It's fantastic. I've been there 37 years, so must be pretty good because I haven't left.
Yeah?
And, yeah, permaculture eco-village and has a beautiful social culture as well as lots of us do a good job with our gardening, hopefully, and share that with others.
You got space for another 6? It sounds really good. I've got 4 children. So.
Oh, wow. Well, a lot of our kids have started coming back there too. So
yeah, great.
We make spaces for them, next generations. Yeah.
Well, we have only just met right now, just before we turn the mic on. It's a weird way to have our first conversation, but I feel like I'm already very connected with you and only realised that as I saw a show notes because you're responsible for the chai tent, which I used as a place of refuge many years at the festival.
Yeah.
What led to you starting the chai tent? What was it about chai and Woodfordia?
Yeah, I guess it's a bit of a story. It wasn't Woodfordia there then. It was Mullaney Folk Festival.
So you've been since the start?
4 of us, yeah. There were 4 of us. So it wasn't just me. I feel a little bit like in the spotlight, supporting the festival to bring this back and things like that. There were 4 of us that started it. My partner at the time, Sky, and a couple of friends of ours, Hans and Karen Erkin. And people know Hans here through the organisation. He and I are both in another little business partnership, Earth Care Farm, which supplies a lot of the bamboo to the festival for the Cave Urban and a lot of those fantastic structures. But it was actually Sky and Karen's idea to have a stall at the big National Folk Festival, which was the 3rd ever. Woodford did 2 little ones at Mullaney, and then the 3rd one was the big national one at Easter in '89. And so all the locals kind of mobilised and went, well, can we do something? How can we support? That kind of thing. And so we thought we'd have a stall and sell chai and cakes. I'd always made chai for, some years, but Sky particularly was involved with the guy that probably had the first chai business in Australia, a guy named Mick, at the St Andrews markets back in the mid-'80s. And then there was...
Because at the time it wasn't a thing,
no,
right? You couldn't just go and get, like you can now.
No. First chai in the country was through Chai Mick, we called him, after some years, and this stall at St Andrews market where he sold chai. And then some time after that, I'm not clear of the details because I wasn't involved, but Sky was from Geelong and Victoria. He was helping Chai Mick out with the stall at St Andrews, and then they went on the peace train. So it was a thing in the 80s.
What's the peace train?
It was a convoy of cars and buses and all kinds of things that toured the message of peace up the east coast of Australia from Victoria up to, I guess, northern New South Wales, because a lot of the folks were some of the original settlers of Nimbin and
A lot of
that
them,
way.
they broke down and they've never left.
So Sky had mixed chai recipe, and then the festival was happening, and yeah, we thought, I was a partner, so, Hans and I got roped into it, and so the four of us did that first one, and Hans and Karen, Sky and I kind of said, well, what do we call it? Let's call it the Chai Tent. And so that's become this, not just iconic at Woodford, but yeah, it has spread all around the country. And so it was the four of us that started it, but the next year Hans and Karen couldn't do it. So Sky and I did it by ourselves, which was, no one knew what chai was. It wasn't that busy the first year. And we gave heaps of it away so people could have, tasters and things like that. But already the jamming had started that first year, because I brought my djembe in and put out the front, and, we had a few instruments there because we were into that kind of thing. And it got really busy on the last night, the fire event, and it was quite a thing.
Is this the Stampede?
Yeah.
This is a Stampede at 1 o'clock in the morning.
It totally was, yeah.
Is this a Stampede for people needing chai?
It was people who, I guess, over 2 festivals by that stage, the fire event happened, it got so quiet, and we just chilled out. We let the pots cool down. We didn't make more chai. And we're just sitting around on the straw bales. Oh, yeah, this is kind of the end of the festival. And then I heard this sound, and I kind of, what is that? That's a really weird sound. It was like almost like a low-grade wind or something. And I walked out and I looked across the oval, and the fire event had finished, and there was hundreds and hundreds of people all walking towards the chai tent. And that was kind of a defining moment, I guess, where we knew we'd done something that people really appreciated, but was mad for us, because it was like, wow, put the pots back on, quick, that kind of stuff. And a couple of our friends jumped in, and then more of our friends jumped in, because it just got busier and busier, and we stayed open all night. And I guess that's what supported us the next year to decide to trade 24/7 for 8 days. And then we did that for the next, 21 years or so. So it was 23 years that we did it, and the first 2 years we didn't trade all around the clock.
And so it was the third year that happened. So that's early 90s.
Oh, that was the second year. But the third year we invited some of those friends who jumped in to help on that 1st of January fire event night. They said, well, look, we'll come help you again. So, and we ended up forming a little business partnership of 4 of us. It was actually 6 of us, but it whittled down after a couple of years, because Sky was living overseas after a while. And 4 of us ended up with the business partnership that took us through that whole time. And I think we were a business partnership for 20 years.
Wow.
And we made the transition together, and that's Phil Smith, Annie Wall, Nigel Pratt and myself. And so we did that 20 years. And I guess I was the only one that did the whole lot. But it was the 4 of us, always 4 of us, holding that energy, because it took a lot.
I bet.
A lot of moving parts to the whole thing, and we were just growing it as we went. We didn't have some business plan or this idea of, this is what we're going to do, and
let's
go this direction.
Yeah.
So it just grew each year. It went from this tiny little thing that was built totally out of bamboo and a truck tarp. So the truck tarp went up one wall, across the roof and down the other side, and Sky's panel van at the back. That was the first one. And the tarp was, just a truck tarp. The next year we expanded it by the size of one wall. So the roof and just one wall, and the next year it was all just roof. So each year it just grew by that little bit. And we put a teepee out the back the 3rd year, I seem to remember. And then after that, we went to a polyhoop structure, because it was just too much to harvest all the bamboo, build it. It would take 2-3 weeks just to make the structure.
Yeah.
And all the while we were just finding our way, what kind of cakes would people like and those kind of things. But also the jamming started to really develop too, and especially the first one we did, the Big National, was the first time I understand that the Big National Folk Festival happened outside of a capital city, And so it meant that performers were able to camp there and stay there. So they were around through the whole festival, not just going back to a hotel or some kind of accommodation. And we'd created a jamming space. So we had the most exquisite jams happening just between like 2 or 3 musicians who'd probably either never met each other, or I think a guy from Calabash and maybe Jan from Bushwhackers. Like, I think those two were like 13 hours or something. They sat out front of the chai tent just jamming, and it was just beautiful. So we knew we were onto something, that it was great, and we just followed that lead. But the last couple of years at Mullaney were hard because some of the local community were really not happy with the noise that was generated from the festival in general, but particularly the chai tent, because we were open late at night.
Because it never closed.
There's this mad drumming with hundreds of people going, it would chill down sometime in the morning, but sometimes it didn't, especially New Year's Eve. So it was, I guess people had all kinds of judgments about it, but also things that they loved about it too.
I think it's so appropriate that that's such an integral sort of foundation moment of this festival, because only at this festival would there be a stampede for chai. I mean, I've been at other festivals where there's a rush on the bar because they're about to close that, but have a stampede for chai. Yeah. And then, I mean, that's a hard thing to build a business plan around anyway.
Exactly.
So you just have to go with it.
Yeah. And we were a stall, not a venue, but we ended up bringing in a bit of music and a little bit of mic'd up music so that we could bring the drums down, at a certain time in the morning. But we had queues too, usually on New Year's morning. I remember, like, on the street where the Cooper's Bar is now, the chai tent was there for a long time, and 6 a.m. in the morning, I'd just done the dog shift. I used to do the dog shift every time on New Year's Eve, so it's like 2 till 6 in the morning.
That's called the dog shift?
Yeah, no, that's what we called it. I don't know, we didn't make that up. I think that's somewhere we heard that. But I'd finish work, and sometimes I wouldn't get to finish because we still hadn't finished cleaning up if there was jam still going at 6 in the morning. But the people would come down from the fire event, and so you could walk out on the street when you'd start to see people queuing at the counter. And one morning I walked out there and the queue, it was just single file though, but it just went almost up to the top of the hill where the fire event was.
There's wild. People at the back of the line not even know what they're lining up for.
Yeah, that's probably it. Yeah, just crazy times, really.
And I suppose in general people are pretty calm. I don't feel like, if you're getting a chai...
Yeah,
it was. Pretty calm
and it was
vibes.
Really a chill space. Yeah. Occasionally we'd have challenges late at night if people were coming in, passing by with alcohol, and we had to manage that a little bit at times. And, the more Woodford became a bigger and bigger festival, the security was, really supportive, and, we did have to call on them a couple of times. But over 23 years we hardly had any challenges, really.
It's a in my anecdotal experience, a well self-policed place too. There's there's a lot of people who just go, we don't do that.
Yeah, and we'd have our busiest times were like 1, 2 in the morning for a long time. That kind of changed a bit towards the end, but we'd have 8 people on shift from that midnight to 2 o'clock in the morning kind of time frame, and some of them would stay a bit longer if there were still lots of people in the space.
Well, you, maybe even you specifically, would have given me my first ever chai because it was at Woodford. I'm not a tea drinker, just normal regular tea. And I was in there it was when it was on the now Pineapple Lounge site, that sort of hill, and it was it was a bit of a pass-through, and it was such a wonderful, there was such a great energy in there, just even as a young fellow that was here with different ideas about what this festival was then that I know now. Like, why is everything so chill in here? And then I'd sit, usually in the heat of the day, and I'm like, all right, I'll try a chai. Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Sky's recipe, and whether it was exactly what Chai Mick originally came up with for the St Andrews market, but Sky bought that chai remedy
Sure. It's a remedy.
Yeah, it is a remedy. Yeah, Sky bought that recipe to us, and I had my own recipe, and the mix, people started wanting to take it home too. So we started to grind it up, he and I, and called it Sky Chai, which wasn't our idea. Someone else suggested it. And after a while, because he was living overseas, after a while, it got too much and I didn't want to carry it by myself. And we gave it to one of our friends, Annie Wall, who was one of the 4 partners. She still makes it to this day. But she just makes a certain amount. It goes in our little shop at Crystal Waters. It goes in Maple Street Co-op, and people order it because they know it.
I'm sure.
It's not a big deal. People pinched the recipe off us we gave it to some people, and they turned it into a commercial thing. And that's what happens. But
people are going to do what they're going to do.
Just let it go. It's a good thing, and now it's all around the country in so many different forms.
And this is what I've had as a note, how is chai connected with counterculture, and why so intrinsically? Like, it seems it's a pretty regular thing.
Yeah, it is. And I guess in the day it was an alternative. Maybe lots of folks were going to India and drinking, because chai in India means tea. And so, and sometimes it's spice, but probably often only with one spice, or, maybe 2 or whatever. So it's a different thing to put lots of spice and heaps of fresh ginger and that kind of stuff in it. But I think, to answer your question, maybe that came about through our chai tent, through the one at St Andrew's Market, because it was associated and part of the peace train that came. So it's come through a more alternative culture. And to put drums out and have people be able to relax, and just no alcohol, that was quite a big thing for us, to not have alcohol in the venue. We didn't stop people bringing it in, but just not to serve it.
Yeah.
It's quite a strong ethic for us.
Well, I suppose even if they bring it in, or they come in already half loaded, the energy of the place, it doesn't take long for everything to calm down anyway.
Yeah.
And get a couple of chais into you.
Yeah, chai, and we had, cool drinks that people can drink, and herb teas or different things, but the chai just, we'd have huge pots on the brew, like really quite full on. It was quite a mission.
Yeah, I'd imagine. And so you're there for, what did you say, 20 plus years,
23 years.
23 in total.
5 years in Malani, and
yes.
then the rest at Woodford. And probably half of those times, or a bit more, on the corner where the Cooper's Bar is now. And then we moved to the site that the Pineapple Lounge is on now. And that was the best site. It was high and dry and fantastic.
Yeah.
But we did go plastic after a while. After we had the bamboo structure with the truck tarp, we went to a more like polypipe hoop structure. We used to always call it to ourselves the Permaculture Chai Tent, because we were all permaculture people and do permaculture design, so that must have influenced the way we would design our venue and that kind of stuff. And the polypipe hoop is how I've still got a nursery like that, and a grow tunnel and things like that. But we'd also use the bamboo to make awnings. We got together and all sewed this huge tarp that covered the polypipe hoop structure, and I guess they were different structures. We introduced bamboo to the festival, and hessian, and all kinds of things like that, microjet sprinkler systems. And when we did go plastic eventually as a health thing, because we felt like we needed to stop doing the polypipe structure because it just got so big and so potentially unsafe that we didn't want to risk anyone that was in the space. And we eventually took a deep breath and got one of the big white hockers and just went, okay, let's make it safe and totally waterproof for everybody, integral space, and then we'll decorate all around the outside and we'll make it beautiful inside. So we brought like decor right into the festival in a big way, where the whole roof was, we had a whole reciprocating structure with all the cotton, sheets of cotton and things like that.
It was a beautiful space, and the huge, big day beds, sort of low, big, flat couches
and tables, and the hessian bag seating that we made. Yeah. We used to just have straw bale seats, but it was a little bit ironic that our our fire warden from Crystal Waters Fire Brigade and our first officer were Phil and Nigel, and here we were with people smoking, because you could still smoke in cafes and things in those days, smoking in amongst all these straw bales. It was just not a good situation. So we started bagging it and making it a bit tighter, so people were less likely to kind of rip it apart and have straw everywhere, but still so it was comfortable that people could kind of sit around, lounge around, that kind of stuff.
It feels like very much it was a place that just you allowed each time you had to build it to be built the way that you saw it that year and what you thought was needed for that year.
Yeah, it did change a little bit. And the awnings were quite fabulous. When we were able to build them out of hessian and put the sprinkler systems along them, we'd put it along, this is part of our permaculture design, we'd put it along the eastern side where the nice, gentle, cooling easterly breeze comes through. And so we'd only turn it on for like a minute or something, and people would go and get wet under it and cool down, but the hessian would get soaked and the cool breeze would then bring the cool air through the whole tent. So little elements like that, I was really pleased that we could bring that kind of thing in. And we used to do trading in there for Let's Currency, which is a local energy transfer system that Mulaney was the first one in Australia. So it's like a big barter club.
Great.
But so we used to sell
Does that
chai
still exist?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Used to sell chai for Let's units. And so that was a whole little system that we had set up, and it really supported local people and local families to be at the festival a bit more cheaply. And,
And they can come barter
their
for
account
chai.
would be debited and ours would be credited. It was quite a thing for lots of years.
Yeah. I wish I'd known. I don't know what I'd bring to the bartering system.
Well, you don't have to do it there in the moment.
Yeah.
The way the Let's
No, but I mean
system
in general.
works. Yeah, at some point. Well, doing interviews, podcasts. And
Thank you for saying so. That's the only skill I've managed to build. But I'd love to come and get my hands dirty. So you're there for a long time, and then you just weren't. And I remember it. I remember coming back and being excited because I yet again had a friend coming that had never been. It's sort of the thing I almost enjoy more than coming back is watching people discover things and wanted to take them and literally to drag them. You must come and just sit in the chai tent. You'd gone.
We needed to have a rest. I think the main thing that where we ended up needing to really seriously stop was the stress, really, and the financial load that it took to actually run a stall at the festival. Like, we did it in relation with the festival. The festival provided the sound and programmed it a lot. Like, I'd liaise with the programmer about who we'd have in there and things like that. But just the stress of the whole thing, 30 people working round the clock for 8 hours. I'd do the roster for 30 people. But the financial stress, we didn't know if we were going to cover costs until like a week or two afterwards when we added everything up. And that was pretty hard. We never meant to be a small business. We were just going to bring this one.
No, it just happened. Yeah. And then it just kept
so we
going.
had to get much more business savvy. When we moved down to the Woodford site, we needed to get all of the, health cover and all of that that you do when you've got employees and that kind of stuff. So, and insurances and health certificates and all kinds of stuff. So, it took a lot, but there was, I wouldn't call it competition. The festival evolved too. There were stalls that came in that were doing their best to do something similar to us, but bringing alcohol in but putting drums out and that kind of stuff. Some of the venues were starting to stay open later as well, and across the time, and with big acts on at like 1:32 in the morning, or dance parties or things like that. And that was our prime selling time if we weren't busy then.
Right.
Because often, people be off enjoying the festival, and really hot days, people wouldn't want to drink chai. But so nighttime was our time.
Yes.
And it changed. The whole dynamic of the patrons that were coming to the festival changed there at one point, and it was less of the counterculture and more families, and at one point more youth and teenagers. Like, we can watch the whole demographic of the festival too at the same time as our demographic changing. So it was interesting times, and it was just time to stop.
But for 1 year is what you planned.
I know, and then we just couldn't bring the momentum back, really.
And that's been 8?
It's been more than that. It's been about 13 years.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
God, I'm older than I thought.
'Cause I do the Labyrinth now. I bought that.
Yes.
The festival trusted me to bring another project.
I've also
in Labyrinth. And
feel connected with you on that.
Yeah.
Walked around that.
Yeah. That's been, because we had COVID in that time, we did 10 festivals and 2 with COVID there. So 12 years. And then I had 2 years off from the Chai, and I did a couple of presentations through the Blue Lotus. So I remember I can count back, so it's like 13 years pretty much since we did the Chai tent.
I want to get back into the Chai tent, but the Labyrinth, what I imagine you were doing that sort of, if I can call it mindfulness or however anyone wants to frame it. I imagine you were doing that well before that you brought it here.
Sure. And with the Chai tent, we used to have a sacred music chalkboard in the morning. So some of us were more into that, but also into, dancing and drumming and percussion and stuff.
What is it about the Labyrinth that you think's important? I find it really amazing to sort of take a moment and walk around that. My father does things like that, so I sort of already had context to it. But what is it about that?
Well, I guess there's some similar things between the Chai tent and the Labyrinth as well. They're both like a quiet, more chilled space where people can be and just get out of the hustle and bustle of the festival and drop into something that is its own little integral space. And the Labyrinth is more deeply sacred, I guess, than the Chai tent, but there were certainly those sacred moments in the Chai tent as well. And just doing the 3-minute silence in the Chai tent or anywhere. There's
my
little
favourite
pockets
part.
all around the festival.
Yeah.
And I think any big festival needs that. And Woodford's done such a great job of noticing and, really honouring the festival for wanting to bring back the Chai tent in its own way this time, because they're acknowledging that people need something more than just totally, busy this, do this. The program's so full where when you can go somewhere and just sit, just chill or meet up with friends and have a chat. And the hillside around the Labyrinth becomes that now too. That's programmed, but not all the time. And we do the ceremonies in there. But often people are coming and just sitting on the hill and just the rhythm of people walking slowly around a space, even if it's not, the person walking, there's something really peaceful about that. And I just noticed how many people are attracted to that when nothing's even going on, really.
Yeah, well, I've quite recently sat there with one of my children who were having a hard day and I just sit on the hill and the energy changes just being in that space. So, but you're coming back. That's what's specifically the Chai tent.
To you that, this Chai tent Woodford's bringing back. It's not me doing that. Some people, when they read the article, were like, can we come and work in that? It's not me. You have to go through the volunteer system. I'm supporting Woodford to bring it, and
but you'll be there.
I'll certainly be there because I so miss that space and that vibe to be able to just sit and chill. And this year we're having a year off the Labyrinth.
Right, okay. Well, at least we get one.
Yeah. And
that's the way it should happen.
We will bring that back. And it'll still be there, but it'll just be a bush labyrinth that people get to discover. We're going to still clean it up and make it all nice for people, but we just need a bit of a break and to regroup a little bit. And so I'm going to be in the Chai tent a lot. I just get to have more of a festival.
And I bet you I'm not allowed to say this because I know how these guys work. Do you know where it's going to be? I'm sure
I'm not telling.
Yeah.
I'm not telling.
I don't know why I bother trying.
I'm so glad I can talk about this now because I thought I had to wait till the program launched to even be able to say.
Oh, we probably won't be able to put this episode out until after the program launch.
Well, it's been out in the newsletter now. So.
Okay, good. Oh, great.
Yeah. So when Benny and Amanda wrote that article, I kind of went, oh, thank goodness, I don't have to keep this under wraps anymore.
Well, everyone start your guessing for where you think it's going to be.
Yeah, I've been asked maybe 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, and a lot more after this comes out.
Yeah.
Well, it's a genuine pleasure and privilege of mine to be just able to have a yarn with you.
Yeah.
Could do it all day. Hopefully we both get a moment to share a chai.
Yeah.
Are you going to do the dog shift?
No, wow.
You're done with that?
No. I
Yeah.
did suggest to Amanda that it would be great if there's someone or a small team of people that host it, that are there through the whole time the chai tent's open in continuity to care for the space and care for the people. And, we'd all be just, the older ones, we'd all just look out for everybody. And the chai tent can do that. It's like this safe container that holds people.
Well, for me personally, you were definitely missed, and it's a special place. I'm excited to see what it's going to be like.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And it will be different. And we'll get to help people on the opening there to make that transition between the history and all the good memories. And I'd like to support people to step forward then into the new chai tent. This is the festival bringing this, and let's support it in however it evolves, because it always was an evolution. We never had a recipe like we talked about. We had a chai recipe, but we didn't have a recipe for the actual tent. And, no rules, because there'd never been one.
Yeah.
So we could do what we wanted. And so there's no... I remember somebody once after we moved to Woodford, and we'd gone a little bit more... When we started the plastic, the hocker, this person was so pissed off with us. It's like, I'm not coming anymore. I'm not even coming to the festival because it's lost its organic nature and it should be like this. This is how it should be. And I'm going, we've just evolved this slowly over time, and we can grow it wherever we want. They didn't like the amplified music and bands and things, but yeah, we needed to do that for us and just to provide something different over time for people.
You had me at no rules. It's been a pleasure, Rob.
Yeah, likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I don't know about you, but I feel really chill. I feel relaxed, feel calm, feel like a chai. There's a great reason to come to this year's festival. You can literally go to the chai tent for 24 hours. 24-hour chai. Also, dog shift. I'd never heard that before, dog shift. I looked it up. It's dog watch. It comes from the term dog watch, is a direct translation from either German or Dutch of a similar term. It originally referred to the night watch on ships. So Robin's a pirate. You should become a citizen. You can get all sorts of extra content from this pod, but all sorts of wonderful things from this wonderful place that is the home of the Woodford Folk Festival. Thanks to the East Pointers for the music, and the producers are the wonderful team at Woodfordia. I'm your host, Harley Breen. See you later.